The idea that nature and humans are separate is a false idea. We are indivisible, we are one.
There's little birds over there, and there's a butterfly now. But they're so quick, they're really difficult to capture.
The Greenbelt was actually first conceived in 1930s, when in fact government began to be concerned about urban sprawl. The Greenbelt is primarily to protect the city and its setting. Oxford City is a medieval city. These villages are part of the city's setting.
We set up a Better South Oxfordshire to change the way that the councillors in South Oxfordshire District Council were looking at the local plan, and hopefully to withdraw that plan, or at least redraft it considerably, so that we don't have 100,000 houses built in the next 30 years all over South Oxfordshire.
Even the woodpecker likes to hide in this grass here, and others of them do, and pheasants and all sorts of creatures are around. I've seen a fox and her litter too, and rabbits have come back. This was a rubbish site, and so it's got hardly any earth on it, which is why it's not suitable for the 100 houses they're planning to put on it.
We recently had the local district council elections. We asked people not to vote. People had previously voted for the plan, and a large number of those were not elected again. We were really heartened by the response we got from people, I suspect, of many different political parties, but a lot of them shared the common aim of don't let's destroy the Oxfordshire countryside.
I can remember as a young boy running through the fields, a great hordes and crowds of blue butterflies scattering everywhere, and wherever I ran, butterflies were in front of me, going this way, that way, and it was just wonderful. There are none left where they used to be. The butterflies used to be everywhere, and now you're lucky if you see one.
Wild spaces and green spaces and Greenbelt does things for our air pollution, and that's our children literally breathing things in. It processes pollution, but it also does things that are important for our well-being and our soul, our mental health. People need to be able to get out easily into wild spaces, and also they're important wildlife corridors so that we actually maintain the biodiversity of England, which is a beautiful country. And I guess I start to think that, do we want to live in a future where our children have never seen butterflies?
Oxford City Council are our neighbours. They are very keen to build onto the green belt. We don't want them to, and we feel that in the upcoming elections for the city, we could encourage our neighbours to be good neighbours.
So the City Council has declared a climate emergency. They know that we're heading towards what could potentially be catastrophe, and they have to change their policies in line with that, so they don't declare a climate emergency and then carry on with their contradictory policies. And we would ask that the local growth plan is reviewed.
In the Greenbelt policy, you have to identify very special circumstances in order to be able to build there. I do not believe that the current submitted plan prevents evidence of those very special circumstances.
Already we've had some success in that their local plan was also submitted, which makes mention of building on the green belt outside their area, and the inspectorate has already asked Oxford City to qualify their numbers because they think a lot of them are false and not correct.
Now, I know from the time when I was a councillor that actually there are many vacant houses within the city, and the Civic Society has pointed this out.
So we would like to see older buildings being repurposed. We would also like to see brownfield sites being more developed and empty houses being more developed.
Instead of actually building housing within Oxford, what they have been doing is ring fencing their areas for business, for commerce, and they have also been turning down applications that are turning business properties into homes. So they have been actively disencouraging the building of dwellings within Oxford City itself. They want to expand They want to expand.
For the past 5 or 6 years, I've done a house martin survey within the village on nesting house martins, which used to be here in their hundreds around this area. And since 2014, that figure's gone down by 67%. The thing is now that they have no food to eat. The fields and the wider countryside doesn't produce enough insects and food to feed their youngsters on.
On the other side is a whole series of meadows along to Kennington, and then there are the woods belonging to St John's College going up there. So this is a great sort of outreach of that stretch of green which is needed for the animals to be able to move around and get what they need.
The colleges who own the land we're talking about are Magdalen and Brasenose. And I know they have a legal duty to make as much money as they can out of all their assets. However, I would have thought they should have a moral duty towards the city, which is their very entity.
We should take the argument to students. I think students in Oxford should know that their colleges are major landowners around the area of the city, and that what they do should be inspired by the environment and the green movement.
It lessens us as a species. If we can't appreciate the things that share this world with us, it's a pretty poor state. After all, they have as much right to be here as we do. The amount of extinctions going on in the wider countryside at the moment is astronomical. We must learn to appreciate that we all depend on the wildlife. If we wipe out the wildlife, we'll be next.
We cannot have endless growth on a finite planet. It's simply not possible.
I think there's a big battle there of winning people's hearts and minds to say to our neighbour, Oxford City Council, stop expanding, you can't do it, not without destroying the countryside. And I'd like to hope that we're going to take that particular viewpoint to their local elections.
You need the right people to be elected. The people who are not there because they are climbing into MPship or they want to go to the House of Lords.
Nature is us. We are part of nature. We have no right to destroy things. We don't understand what we're doing.